Never in, I think, the history of anything involving the NBA has there been more hype around just the order of where teams are going to be drafting than what we've got going on today. Nick Ashooh and Martino Puccio here for GameDay Garage. This is not the NBA draft, but the NBA draft lottery as we sit here and we wait, Martino, to know where teams are going to be drafted. Now, I'm sitting outside of D.C. You're up in New York. Now, you're a Celtics fan, so I know it's a little different for you. You're used to your team having like a million picks within this and still making the playoffs, which is kind of where the Thunder sit this year. For me, and where it is in D.C., it's panic because this has been the hype and the excitement about where this is going to go forever as they're starting to show past drafts and everything coming up. So I want to show you. I have two things here that I'm hoping are going to bring good luck for the Wizards. One, this is an autographed 1978 Bullets championship ball that sits right here. That's this. But what I also have is a deflated one. Now, this was a gift from a friend of mine who found it in his basement and doesn't really care. So it was like, do you want it? And I said, yes, but I haven't inflated it yet. So what I'm hoping is to inflate it when they get the number 1 overall pick. I don't know how that brings good luck. I'm just doing anything I can right now because it's going to be absolute panic if after everything the Wizards went through, and that's just the Wizards, do not get themselves the number 1 overall pick. Though this draft is loaded, and there's a lot of teams, obviously, that are in that position. And in the last 2 years, Martino, we've had the Mavs go from 11-1, and we've had the Hawks go from 10-1 to get the number 1 overall pick. So my prediction is here, we won't have big jumps because the last 2 years, the odds have worked in that favor. That's just how I'm going to make this logical right now.
It's not a fallacy whatsoever. I did think with the two balls that you had, they were for the two different reactions for Wizards fans. A deflating one, and then one that is very positive with the championship ball. Mm-hmm. But I hope for your sake, it's the first overall pick. Listen, you can't go necessarily wrong with some of these players outside of Dybantsa because I think Dybantsa is clearly the best prospect by far. That's just my opinion, but there are a couple other players, but it just feels like the Wizards, where they are in this position, that if they just get that blue chip, really great type of prospect that will flourish no matter where he goes, this is the year for them because they have the talent built around that. I like Sarr. I like some of the other players that they've gotten in the lottery, but this is the one, right? I think a lot of Wizards fans feel like they're not like entitled to it, but almost every single time it feels like they're due because we've seen a lot of these other bottom of the barrel franchises, with all due respect, jump up and get picks that you're like, how is this possible, right? Like, I'm sure there's a ton of NHL fans that are out there seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think, only missed the playoffs twice in the past decade, and both times they won the first overall pick. It feels like the Wizards are kind of the antithesis to the Cavs, where the Cavs almost every single time when they're in the lottery, they jump up and get a great pick. Whereas the Wizards, it feels like that team that does fall and just misses out on a generational type of player. Because if they got any of, not Richier from Atlanta, but Cooper Flag, Wemby, like either of those guys could have completely changed their future. We'll see if it's Dybantsa, because that would be huge.
So it's funny. You can tell how big this has gotten, and I know this is going to be bigger than most years. Just given the hype and all the talent that's in this draft. I mean, the top 13 to 15 picks in this draft could all be freshmen. I mean, that just shows the world we're living in. As I'm looking at it now here, I mean, we got 13 minutes until the actual reveal, which you know how this is going to be. It's made for TV. They drag this thing out like we haven't sat here and waited forever. But, I mean, it's set up like the draft already. I mean, you've got the prospects sitting there in the audience and there's tables set up and like it's now become a whole thing. And the one thing I'll say about the NBA is they've gotten to a point now, Martino, where like they do make other things that weren't events. The NFL did that first. The NBA has really gotten to that point now too, where like Summer League this year, the Vegas Summer League is going to be insane because all these guys, or at least most of them, are going to be playing in that Vegas Summer League, where back in the day, it started to become a thing when Zion got drafted. And, you know, they started turning more into a tournament, and they've really made that thing an event. But, I mean, you look at this now, man, these dudes are all like, I feel like I'm going to watch the NBA draft, and literally this is just the reveal that we're sitting and waiting still another 12 and a half minutes for.
Yeah, I mean, the anticipation around it, there's nothing like the NBA lottery. I know the NHL and even Major League Baseball have kind of copied it at a point. And not even to mention what we're recording at this time has never really been done before. It's usually during a weekday. We're here on Mother's Day at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah, how do you feel about the 3 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday afternoon for this? I'm not a big fan of this time.
I think it's kind of terrible. I don't think it actually plays into the audiences for a lot of people because they're going to be out doing things. Also, like we're always like East Coast brains and bias. Like it's noon on the West Coast. Like people are going to be going to brunch with their mothers, like doing all these different things. I don't think you actually put yourself in a prime time position for this to be a spectacle. This kind of just almost feels like a news dump in a way, right? Like, oh, the Knicks
Right.
beat Philly soon. And then we also have whatever the other game is tonight with the Spurs and Wolves. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of focused on that. We'll see what happens, though. I don't know if you want to start talking about potential teams that might miss out on a great pick or have to flip it to the other teams that
So
are,
here's the first
pretty
thing,
much
and
loaded.
I'm going to bring this up here because you can get in the comments on YouTube. We're on X, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on all the different platforms here. This right here, the rich don't need to get richer. All right, Devon Miller, the Thunder do not need a top 5 pick. The Thunder have enough riches. The Thunder have enough talent. Here's what I will say about the Thunder, because I've been on record, Martino, many times saying this.
Yeah.
I love this organization. I love what the Thunder have built. I think Sam Presti is the best general manager in sports, and he's been able to build championship caliber teams. One is a championship, obviously, in this version, but the Kevin Durant version, too. I mean, what they've built going back to 2007 with him, I mean, it's unbelievable. But no more top picks for the Thunder. It's enough. No more. Your Celtics, Martino, were like that for years where I'm going, no, they traded back from number 1 to number 3, get Jason Tatum, stuff like that. Here's what I would say, though. They are absolutely, I mean, they are just so well run, and they have 2 first-round picks in this draft. Their first-round pick,
Right.
they're not even going to have. That's the last pick in the draft. So they still have 2 others. They could jump. It's the Clippers pick that people have been worried about. There's obviously other teams as well that could jump, that could fall. The big one here, too, to keep an eye on is the Pacers.
Right.
The Pacers are in a really tight slot where if their picks between 5 and 9, which they can't fall all the way down anyway, would not go to them. But if it's 5 or 6, they lose that pick. And a team that just went to the finals, I'm begging for them not to have a first-round pick because it is the ultimate tank job. And, and as Fredo's pointing in here, look, guys, we'll try to put it up. There's nothing to put up on the screen. I don't know what you want. There's no draft order revealed yet. You're asking to put it up on the screen. I got nothing for you. We're watching it here. They're showing commercials. We got nothing. Also, we can't show the actual footage because then YouTube will get pissed off at us. So that being said, here's the thing too with the Warriors, as Fredo points out. Yeah, the Warriors could also jump in this too. That's another team. So the NBA wants to change its lottery system more. They want to smooth out these odds more and make it 18 teams and all this. If you have more jumps this year, like the Mavs jumping from 11 to 1 and the Hawks jumping from 10 to 1 and the Mavs jumping from 11 to 1 after they traded Luka, and I left my tinfoil hat upstairs in the upstairs studio, and I'm pissed off that I did that because we might need that today. You're not going to help any narratives if you watch teams like the Warriors or the Thunder jump off, and people are going to be like, this whole thing's fake. I know people watch. I know the ping pong balls are revealed with witnesses. Dude, this could be absolutely chaotic today with how this is revealed, especially with these tight windows for some teams in terms of these protections like the Pacers I mentioned too.
I mean, what if even Dallas wins it again? Who's to say Dallas?
And they have a chance. They have a chance.
It's not, what are they at? 6.7%. That's not nothing. We've seen a lot lower. And again, the odds are the same every single time. I think here in the situation of Indiana, if Indiana loses its pick at 5 or 6, I think that's one of the most catastrophic things to happen to the Eastern Conference for like another potential contender. If they were to if they keep their pick in the top 4, I have no doubt, no matter what prospect they end up picking, if it's like 1, 2, 3, or 4, that player will be really good for that team. And I think there's plenty of talent within the top 5 alone that they can be successful in the right organization. I think Indiana is one of those landing spots that you don't actually worry about. Like, I think personally, Peterson is a guy who needs to go to the proper organization in order to reach his highest levels. I think if he goes up somewhere like Sacramento or Brooklyn, traditionally not a powerhouse, that might be a struggle for him. And again, if Indiana gets Dybantsa, I don't even know what could happen with that team if Tyrese Haliburton comes back fully healthy. That team was on the cusp of taking down this Thunder team. They probably could have won it. Honestly, very easily. But Haliburton blowing out his Achilles was a travesty. But you know what also bothers me a lot about the lottery, Nick, is when I see a bunch of terrible East teams for years who are clearly like roster-wise the bottom of the NBA. not getting the first overall picks because the teams in the West that are kind of bad, but not talent bad, but they're just in the West. So their record is so bad. They get thrust into getting these top picks when you're kind of like, well, you know what? It kind of would have felt better if Brooklyn or Washington ends up getting that pick. Because I go all the way back to the Anthony Davis draft, where the Charlotte Bobcats at the time had the worst winning percentage in NBA history. And again, it was a shortened season because of the lockout. That was Kyrie's rookie year. But the difference was what, Nick? It was Anthony Davis in the Eastern Conference as opposed to going to the West with the Hornets at that time. And the fall off was MKG, who was a fine college player, but in terms of prospects was a massive fall off. And then again, we kind of see guys like Zion. Like, think about the generational top picks, a first overall that we've seen go in the draft, right? We go to Zion, Wemby, even Cooper as of late. All those are in the Western Conference for teams that really weren't kind of like devoid of this talent. The only time we've seen the Eastern team jump up was really Atlanta, and that was not a great draft. That was one of the weaker drafts that we've seen in recent years. I'm just curious. What happens if Milwaukee jumps up, Nick? I know I'm tossing out all these ideas. How does that feel? Because also we should mention that the Bucks came out and stated that they would like to resolve this Giannis situation by the NBA draft, meaning they want to trade him by then. What happens with that? Does that change the dynamics if they get into the top 5 or top 3 and or even win the first overall pick? Who knows what they could do? Maybe they take a little bit less on a Giannis trade if they're willing to take back maybe a Jaylen Brown, or they look in another direction with the team. And what do OKC do? Say OKC doesn't win the finals this year, right? When they feel like they should be repeat winners. Then what happens? Do they package whatever they get here and the other pick to go and get a superstar? There are so many different angles that can happen here if certain teams move up. But the boring one, which would be a happy one for you, is if the Wizards just win it, and then it's Brooklyn and Indiana and probably Utah. I am just ready for chaos. And does it feel like it's just going to be a deflating kind of letdown, and it'll just be a very generic order, nothing crazy going to happen? Because we know when there's movement, right? Because when they go down from number 14 and they keep going lower and lower and lower, and they're like, whoa, a team that was supposed to be there is not there at this current moment. So for me, I'm kind of hoping for one of the lesser franchises that have had a rough go of it for the past few years wins it. AKA the Wizards, Brooklyn, Utah, or Sacramento. I kind of don't want to see anyone else win this lottery. I don't think anyone is deserving or should get it.
I mean, listen, I'm with you. I think a couple of the things here that are really important too, just from as an NBA fan, you want to see these players go to the best situations, whether it's, fit, whether it's organizational growth. I mean, the Nets just seem to screw everything up. I was talking about this yesterday on radio. Like, I think we've gotten to a point now where it's like Nets, Jets, Mets. There's something wrong with the way those names sound alone, because they're all bringing bad luck to all these teams. And you're laughing because I know that you're a Mets fan and I know you're a Jets fan, so you know exactly how it is. But it's like the Nets had, 5 first-round picks last year? And again, some of these guys are development players, and it's going to take some time. But to see, you want to obviously, a talent like AJ Dybantsa to transfer over to the NBA, to have those skills translate. Like, he is a 6'9" wing that's going to be able to play at any team, any position. Like, he can do it all. But fit does matter, and seeing guys within organizations that have plans to grow and organizations that have the blueprint of doing this thing the right way, I think really matters too. I mean, listen, I'm biased from a Wizards standpoint. I've covered the team for years. Like, I want to see them win. I want to see them get that number 1 overall pick. I want to see all that. That's from a fan standpoint. But yeah, just from an NBA standpoint, teams that are actually rebuilding to get these top picks are what you do want to see. Of course, unless you're a fan of the Warriors, like we're getting in the comments, you damn heathens in here. I mean, although I do agree with Devon Miller that no team should have back-to-back number 1 overall picks, which would be the Mavs, which is a possibility in this. Fredo, I don't know how many minutes. You've just been yelling at me about putting stuff on the screen. I did that for you. This is love. We got the odds up here. I don't know what to tell you guys. They're going to drag this thing out. They're showing us no countdown. We're all just sitting here waiting to react just like you. But they're now showing who's representing everybody. Nick Collison, by the way, for the Thunder, representing them. 1.5% chance for the number 1 overall pick for the Thunder. The Warriors are just above them with a 2% chance. I mean, there is a possibility in this. It did not start yet, Fredo. They are introducing everybody. You were there. I feel like I'm keeping Fredo just like updated with everything here. This is good. I got your back.
I think you gotta treat him like actual Fredo and just ignore him until it's time.
No. Listen, we are here to relay the information to you. If you can't catch it, that's what this is for. This is what the comments are for. We're on X, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube right now. They're going through everybody that's representing each team as now they show the Hawks, who have just under a 10% chance to have the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, a lot of these are these individual restrictions and where a pick could go and all that. Like it does get complicated, Martino, but we'll know very quickly as you start to see some teams. Like if we see a team that's out of order dropping this, that's where we're going to have the big problem. So I'm taking the odds off now because it's going to be a couple minutes and we're about to actually have these teams come up. So we're going to get to that point in a minute, but yeah, man, like it's just crazy because like the anticipation for this is so specific. And it's just so like everybody has been so ready for just what the order of this draft is going to look like. And there's John Wall. Let's go. 14% chance for those Wizards. I got the good luck championship basketball right here. So we're going to go for this. This is the Bullets right here. And they're bringing everything out now. And yeah, I see here too another one. James Harden is good. He's praying for the Pacers to have the 5th or 6th pick. Yeah, because this team went to the finals last year. I don't want to see the Pacers get a great pick. I mean, that was the ultimate tank job we're talking about right here.
It is and isn't. I don't know. I'm kind of a little indifferent on it because I don't think that they should have been out of the playoffs or even in the conversation for this. But it didn't really seem like that was in the cards for them to compete, like you were saying. Like I get it. I don't think that they actively tank. I don't think those are those kind of players and coach that would do something like that. But they are in that.
We've just started. Here we go. Perfect. So we've got the Hornets at number 14 and we've got the Heat at 13. So the Heat stay where they are right now. So that's the Hornets and Heat so far staying in where their spots were, with the Oklahoma City Thunder staying at 12. As the NBA sigh of relief, the Oklahoma City Thunder don't jump up in this draft with a pick that isn't even theirs. All right.
They still have 12 and 17.
Golden State Warriors at 11, so they're going to stay at pick number 11. We're not going to see them go anywhere either. So it's the Thunder and Warriors staying in their spots with the Bucks at 10. So far we stay in order. Nothing has changed here so far. Bucks still having the 10th overall pick, trading Giannis. They're going to probably have some young players if they get some assets back. And now the Dallas Mavericks stay at 9. So far, here we go.
No. Chicago was at 9. Chicago was at 9.
Oh, crap, you're right. Oh, no. That's right. They were 8. Oh, God. Okay.
That means the Chicago Bulls have moved up in the NBA lottery.
If the Bulls get the number 1 pick, I'm going to be so mad. Although Bulls fans have suffered for years, so I feel you guys. You've had to deal with a lot.
They have, but they're not the Wizards, okay? Like, it's not that bad. But, yes, that does say that.
All right, so Memphis has now also jumped up into the top 4, with the Kings falling to 7. Picking at 6, the Brooklyn Nets. Utah has moved up too. Oh my God. This means the Wizards. Oh no.
No. It's not set in stone just yet.
All right. So the Clippers taking that pick from the Pacers. Let's go, Pacers. You didn't deserve that damn pick. Sorry, Pacers fans in the comments. I'm sorry. Guys, I can't show the board. It's not anywhere right now. It's up on the screen here. Hold on. All right.
Whoa. That's crazy movement. That's absolutely insane.
So the top 4 picks, because they're going to drag this out, the top 4 picks, Wizards, Jazz, Grizzlies, Bulls. That's what we're going to have. Now, the NBA, here's what they're going to do. They're going to drag this damn thing out forever. You guys know how this is going to go. So we're going to sit and we're going to have to wait because they're not going to give us the top 4 yet. And I would love to put it up on there, but I can't show the actual clip of this because YouTube will get pissed off. So we can't do that. I'm sorry, guys. Here we are with the top 4 picks now in the draft lottery. So the Pacers, so the Pacers would have been 5 or 6. Britt, I see you there in the comments, which means that pick went to the Clippers because that did not fall to them. So because of that trade, that was the Ivica Zubac's trade. So this is, you're sitting here now with the Jazz, the Wizards, the Bulls, and the Grizzlies in the top 4. So I have a prediction for you, Martino. Hear me out on this. It's a little conspiracy theory, but because the Grizzlies might trade Ja Morant, they get the number 1 overall pick.
I thought it was the rumor of the realignment. I thought that would be the better theory because of Seattle and Vegas potentially being the new NBA franchises with expansion. So one of the rumors was Memphis moving back to the East, even though I think it kind of does make sense that they should be in the East anyways. That's just my opinion. I mean, first of all, I just want to talk about Brooklyn. I feel so sorry for all you people. You finally get to keep your pick, and you did last year as well. And it's just staying in a really bad position. That getting number 6 in this draft, that's where the fall off happens. That's where it happens, right? Because we know that there's at least 4 to 5 consensus top players in this. Right at number 6 is where it kind of starts to get dicey. Like, okay, depends on development, what franchise you go to, what team you're going to be playing in. It's just very silly to me how that happens to them. But oh my goodness, I actually can't even believe that we had more movement, 2 more inside the top 5 jumping like this. It's every single year now, and obviously this is with the new odds and all that keeping up. Man, oh man. So they're going to be coming back with, what do we still need to find out? The top 4 picks, correct? Can you hear me, Nick?
So here we are sitting now. Yeah, I'm trying to bring up the odds, but they're not going to bring us it yet. So I'll bring you guys the odds. We'll put them up on the screen when it's actually done. No one's giving you anything until then. This is how the stupid thing works. It's just there's a million moving parts at once here. But what I'll say is this. We are going to have this dragged out for the next couple of minutes because this is what the NBA loves to do. But with a draft that's this loaded, it's going to be interesting to see, too, after about the first 2 picks where this goes, because there are, if you look at how, like, if you're, the Bulls, you're going to take best available. If you're the Wizards, you're going to take best available. But, like, do you get to a point where, like, is there going to be a team here, depending on where they fall? Again, this is talking, we still don't know the top 4 exactly in that order. Once you get, it's generally looked at as it's going to be AJ Dybantsa, Darryn Peterson, Carlos Boozer is top 3 right now. But does that
Cameron
4th
Boozer.
pick be, or Cameron Boozer? Thank you. Yes, there you go. Right. I'm thinking of the Bulls and they're all, yeah. Enough of the commercials. Can we please, for the love of God, get the top 4 picks? Look, after this, we are now going to have to see what that 4th pick looks like. I could see a Darius Acuff jumping into the top 4 with the way that he played in the tournament, with a lot of the hype that was around him, and Caleb Wilson being hurt. I mean, it becomes, after those top 3, it's less about necessarily the talent, and it's more about maybe the fit after the top 3.
Yeah.
That's guessing at this point. We got a long way to go because we got to see where these teams are and then what the workouts and things like that look like. But top 3 is kind of a general consensus. When you start to get to 4, I think it could be more about what team is actually picking there, which we're going to know in a minute here.
I don't want to put this evil on you, Ricky Bobby, but if the Wizards are at 4, what is the best fit at that point? It's Darius, right? I don't think you go with Caleb Wilson. I don't think Wilson makes sense.
I don't know if he does either. I mean, the question then becomes, what are they going to do with Anthony Davis? Because he doesn't want to be there.
I think Anthony Davis is a prime trade candidate to go to Boston or another team in the East, or potentially back out West that needs a front court man that's willing to just eat that money and give up some semblance of assets to try and compete, maybe get to the finals. Hey, I mean, listen, LA right now, the Clippers got 12-5 in this draft. Who's to say that they don't try and make a move?
Here we go. All right, here we go. Bulls have number 4. Wizards are still in the top 3. This is good. This is good for a Wizards fan. Bulls come in at number 4. Next pick coming up. Oh, my God. Grizzlies at 3. It's Darryn Peterson or AJ Dybantsa if you're a Wizards fan. I'm holding this for good luck. Here we go. Oh, my God. The Wizards got the number 1 overall pick. Are you fucking kidding me? John Wall, you beautiful good luck charm. Are you serious? The Washington Wizards got the number 1 overall pick in the draft that they've been tanking for forever. This championship ball from 1978 from the Washington Bullets gives the Wizards the number 1 overall pick. I cannot believe that this actually happened. John Wall, I love you. You are a good luck charm. I'm so glad he was there. The last number 1 overall pick for the Wizards. And we are going to likely see AJ Dybantsa in a Wizards uniform as they show him on camera now, Martino. I cannot believe it. All of the time, all of the worry, everybody, the Wizards' bad luck, dropping in the draft. And by the way, Trey Johnson might end up being a steal from last year. For the Wizards to fall to number 1, my friend, I am absolutely ecstatic. It was good luck. It was John Wall, and it was this championship ball from 1978 for the Bullets. Look at this.
This is genuinely, obviously, it's the most talented player that they're going to be getting since John Wall.
Oh my God.
Dare I say this, though? This is potentially the greatest Wizards player of the 21st century, of who they're going to draft. I think AJ has that big of an upside. That's how good of a player this is for the Wizards. The amount of size now that the Wizards have, if they put this all together, I think that they're going to have to end up trying to get some shooters around them, obviously, because that's one of the areas that they're lacking in. But my goodness, this changes everything. This is what the lottery is about. You're waiting for your team after all these years, building around with good key role players that have some upside to be all defensive type players that I think the Wizards have plenty of. This is your dynamic wing that could set the league on fire for the next 10 plus years. I think AJ is that good. He is that talented. And again, if you saw him play, and I know you saw plenty of him at BYU, this guy's dynamic. This is a plug and play. Good for the Wizards. Genuinely happy for a franchise that this, to me, was the one that was most deserving of it. This was ethical tanking, as they like to say. This wasn't like, hey, like we're purposely putting out terrible lineups every single night. They tried. They just suck. And now they're probably not going to for quite some time. I expect a big turnaround for the Wizards this year. I have them over 30 wins at this point. I think that's that big of a deal. He's that good. So great for them. So what's the other order again? You said Memphis was 2 or 3?
We have Wizards 1, Jazz 2, Grizzlies 3, Bulls 4, Clippers 5. The Clippers take the Pacers pick with that, with the Nets and Kings falling to 6 and 7, Hawks at 8, Mavericks 9, Bucks 10, and then you're looking at the normal order at that point moving forward, Martino. So listen, I am absolutely ecstatic. I cannot believe that John Wall and my Bullets championship autographed ball right here brought the Wizards the number 1 overall pick. I like to think that I had a little bit of a say in this, a little something. But as I just sit here and look right now, I mean, they're showing AJ Dybantsa on the screen. That guy is going to be the number 1 overall pick by the Wizards, I think, barring something astronomically crazy.
Right.
And on top of that, too, so I've had this conversation for a while on various shows, whether it's DC show or my Westwood One show, whatever it is. So it becomes the question of like, who is the next face of the NBA? And yes, Victor Wembanyama is absolutely at the top of that. But then you also look and go, could somebody in this draft, because of the talent, because of the potential that's there, could they also be in the conversation at least in a couple of years? And AJ Dybantsa might just be that, playing in a big market like DC. And here's the thing now, too, with the Wizards. For the longest time, they were not looked at as a free agent destination, as an organization that truly was building to build a true winner. The way that they built through the youth and getting the number 1 overall pick, and now you have Anthony Davis and Trae Young, which at least elevates you to a playing team. I've said this, the Wizards are a team that should be looking at 40 to 45 wins next year if they stay relatively healthy. I know there's questions. I know that there's a lot in terms of Anthony Davis and what that's going to look like, but Trae Young playing an efficient level of basketball, which I know is an up and down thing. The Washington Wizards now are absolutely a play-in team and really should be talked about as a potential playoff team in a wide open Eastern Conference next year.
I think so. I think you're going to see teams like Miami take a step back. Obviously, Milwaukee will still be in that conversation of being bad. I think you say the same thing for Chicago and Brooklyn, and then Indiana. What a disastrous night. The biggest losers are Indiana and Brooklyn. There's zero denying it. I would argue that the Brooklyn Nets are the bigger loser out of Indiana. At least Indiana is getting Tyrese Halliburton back. No one's coming to save the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see who they could draft in this position that'll turn their fortunes around. They're not a franchise that has been developing great. So that's going to be a huge problem for them. Memphis in a really good spot there. That's a team that could still develop players. This probably will gear them towards definitely moving off of John Morant. I think you just usher in a new era at this point. You've already traded Jaren Jackson Jr. There isn't much to go on in here. Again, Utah is where I'm curious about, because Danny Ainge is still out of his damn mind to this very day. I'm very curious to see what he does. Truthfully, does he even think about trading the pick potential? Danny, is that crazy? Do we see Lauri Markkanen on the move as well, Nick? Like, I think
I'm
there's
going to
multiple directions that they could be going in here, because Danny Ainge is just that crazy. And then Sacramento's number 3, correct?
no
Oh, and then
Sacramento. No. Here, hold on. I'm putting the order up now. We've got a lot of moving parts.
This is
So
my
it's
bad. I keep
Washington,
forgetting.
Utah, Memphis, Chicago is the top 4. The Pacers had the 5th pick, but that gets relayed to the Clippers. Yeah, I'm jumping off here. We got a million moving parts at once here. There we go.
Yep.
So now it's all up. All of the heathens can stop yelling. I know there's stuff popping up here. I'm working with the best I can here. Right? We don't have a live production crew. That's what this whole that's what this is all. I listen. I am absolutely I'm in amazement right now that we are looking at this. I cannot believe. Yeah, see, this is the problem with Tankathon. I love it. It's got you the great order, but then it's just like, I don't know. Our faces are blocked here. We got all kinds of stuff going on. But here's what I will say, buddy. I am I just look. I'm working with what we got here. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is I can't believe this. This is an unbelievable moment for this Wizards franchise that has been this was the goal. This was the goal, and it's mission accomplished. It's just that simple. It's mission accomplished now for the Wizards at number 1. But here's the thing, too. It's not just about teams that are picking at the very, very top 1 or 2, because it's probably going to be Darryn Peterson then going at number 2. If you go down, so if it's Darryn Peterson to Utah, the question then becomes, does Memphis go with Cameron Boozer? Probably. And then at number 4, right, with the Chicago Bulls, are they going to go Caleb Wilson? Where do the Pacers go at 5? Because it's probably, Darius Acuff. Does the team look to maybe make a trade? I mean, Darius Acuff could go to 5 to the Clippers, who the Pacers, gave that pick up to. I mean, there's a lot still because of the talent that's in this. I think there's an opportunity here for maybe not just Giannis, but other stars. You mentioned a John Morant, some of these other guys that maybe teams weren't willing to necessarily move or weren't as interested in moving before, where now there's some value given where some of these draft picks sit, where you could see some guys on the move this offseason.
Yeah, I think there's still going to be a lot of movement for what's going down. So ultimately, I'm the type of person that thinks it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder against the New York Knicks this year. And if the Knicks don't get it done, you could see them making moves as well. I think the East has the potential to be wide open again as soon as next year. We're going to be seeing a lot of movement. Giannis is probably going to get moved by all things that we hear. Listen, I think there is going to be a ton of movement. Guys like Lauri Markkanen, I don't think that Danny Ainge is going to hang on to him that long. I think Danny is going to try and flip him somewhere. I wouldn't be shocked with Jaren Jackson Jr. either. It's going to be interesting on how the Clippers move and navigate through this. They have plenty of talent. 2 top 12 picks in this draft. I think that's one of those franchises that will be okay with sitting at those picks because they think that they could develop players over the course of the next few years. I think there could be guys falling there. I think if Caleb Wilson falls out of those positions, I think the Clippers should absolutely take. I think they're actually in the best spot, Nick, to be honest with you, of all these teams, because you can go in many different directions. Darius falls to you, you take him. If Caleb Wilson falls to you, you also take him. If somehow some of these other players somehow slip out of it, like, maybe people are getting cold feet on Cameron Boozer. Where does he fit? Is he more of a tweener? How much his skills will translate to the next level? I think he'll just have a high floor as a player. He doesn't have a high ceiling. So that might scare some teams off. We know teams like to go ceiling over floor at times. So you never put it past the bad franchises. I'm very curious with Utah. That's my big curiosity because Danny Ainge is just always a wild card and you should never be shocked by anything that he does in these moments. I'm also thinking, like, if you're Memphis too, right? Like, who are you trading Ja to? Who wants Ja? What kind of franchise is willing to take on that risk? Like that's where I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense for them. Because you don't trade Jaren Jackson Jr. and then have all these issues with Ja just to sit, right? You don't do that. So I'm just very curious in all of this. I think Milwaukee could trade for Ja too. Like, it's maybe they do that. Maybe they don't like that pick because they've been interested in him. What if they trade Giannis in a package for Jaylen Brown? I wouldn't be stunned by any of what could happen with all of this. But the huge winners are the Washington Wizards. Good for them, especially when you see on the screen lost their last 10 on the 0-10 over there. So,
I mean, it was so. Here's what I'd say about the Wizards, though, is that like what the Wizards have been doing, there's a difference between rebuilding and tanking, right? And I know it's going to be like,
Right,
oh,
right.
well, you cover but like the Wizards are a young team that has gutted this roster down to the studs, and they're building the way that the Thunder have built their team. Again, I'm not saying that they are the Thunder, but you have to look at the Thunder early on. The Thunder before they won 57 games, before they won 40 games, when they were 22 or 24 win team, whatever it was. Go look at the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama's rookie year, after we all know the Spurs tanked, they only won 22 games Victor Wembanyama's rookie year. We've seen how they've grown, and now they've won 62 games, and they're in the playoffs, and they got a chance to go up 3-1 later today, well, really tonight, depending on where you are, against the Timberwolves. And it's like, if you look at where these teams are, Pistons are another one, almost lost to the Magic, but the Pistons 2 years ago won 14 games. They won 60 this year. They were the number one team in the Eastern Conference. They tripled their win total last year from the previous year at 14, where they're the first team ever to do that. So building a team the way the Wizards have built it, building a team the way the Thunder have built, the Spurs, the Pistons to a degree. I mean, Tobias Harris, they've got some free agents that are there too. But if you look at those teams, like their cores are all players they've drafted, or I count SGA as a homegrown guy for the Thunder. They got him after his rookie year with the Clippers. So it's like, to me, that counts. But they're all, it's building through young players and developing a culture within the organization. So the way the Wizards did it is the way that the NBA allows you to win and succeed there. And, it's another, I get it that the Knicks are, who are about to tip off in a few minutes here against the Sixers, they bought their contender and they are a legit contender, but most teams aren't going to go that route. And we've also watched it time and time again, Martino. It's just like, it doesn't work. Like the super teams or the go out and trade for a bunch of stars, you don't get the results. The ROI on that is just not what it's supposed to be. It's not what teams, even LeBron's Heat, they lost to the finals twice. So, I think if you look at, we have a lot of examples now of a team like the Wizards. The Jazz have certainly been there in a lot of ways too, where it's building through the draft and building through a lot of youth and turning it into something that's, obviously based on luck as well. The Spurs got lucky years ago getting number one overall in Victor Wembanyama, and here we are with the Wizards, number one overall pick, and they're going to draft AJ Dybantsa now. It's crazy.
It's been down that path. I think this is clearly working for the NBA here, where some of these teams that are perennial losers aren't necessarily getting, again, to the three teams with the top odds to get the number one overall pick fall outside of that area. So it also goes to show you at this point, you can try all you want to get towards the bottom. The bottom doesn't guarantee being at the top of the lottery. And I think that's exactly what Adam Silver and the league wanted at this point in time. I still know that they want more reform to this. I just think that one of those things as well, I think it was like no team can win the lottery in back-to-back years was another thing of that. I think franchises are also just a lot smarter, Nick, than they were, right? I think obviously the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry trade to the Brooklyn Nets highlights all of that in the moment when you're flipping all those picks, like you risk a lot. Same goes for the Kawhi and PG trade. At the time, it made sense, but it's a lot to mortgage your future like that. And teams are very reluctant to do it. Right. I think LA, the Lakers have been reluctant to trade a lot of those picks in the future back, even when it was LeBron and Anthony Davis, because they didn't want to mortgage their future just in case. Right. Because you got a 40-year-old superstar. And then you also had a guy who was an aging star that has a ton of injury history. So right now, you're looking at the teams that have played their cards close to their chest, and it's going to start paying off. Because I think for the Wizards, I think you're completely right. This is that Cade Cunningham type of draft where it's going to change the fortune of your franchise for at least the next 5 to 10 years. So good for the Wizards. Some of these other teams, sorry, good luck to you at the end of the day. I don't think that Darryn Peterson is going number 2. I will immediately say that.
Okay.
I don't see that happening. I think there is risk when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't think 2, 3, or 4 in this draft is a good enough franchise for Darryn Peterson. I think Peterson needs to find himself with the LA Clippers in order to be the best version of himself. Utah, I like Will Hardy. I trust Danny Ainge. They're probably going to go with Darryn Peterson, but I don't think that's the best spot for him. I think they're kind of all over the place with that kind of stuff. Utah is a totally different environment than a lot of other NBA cities too. Memphis, way all over the place right now. Say they kept Ja and Darryn Peterson goes there. I just don't like. I have question marks about Darryn. Not saying like at the level of what Ja has been doing, but a maturity thing. It's nothing deeper than that. And then the Chicago Bulls are just the most dysfunctional big market in the NBA. Is there any other like proof of that? Like I just every single time they try and fix things, it just backfires on them. They were very lucky to even get a first round pick in this. after the trades that they made at the deadline. They were lucky that those conveyed and teams fell. Man, I don't know. I think it's going to be a complete toss-up. Boozer, there's no way Boozer goes top 2 in this. You think he goes to Memphis? I don't see. I think Boozer's either going to Memphis or Chicago. I don't see Boozer going top 2. I'd be very, very, very surprised.
The thing is what I will say is, like, the teams that are drafting at the top here are so devoid of talent that it may just be draft best player available. Because, like, that was my question. If the Wizards didn't have the number 1 overall pick, it was, are you going to go with somebody like Boozer and then just kind of figure out the way that works with, Alex Sarr, and is Anthony Davis still going to be there, whatever the case is? I think what you just look at, if you're especially these teams, at least in the top 3, it's about most talented available. Like, I understand what you're saying about Darryn Peterson and, like, the best place to go. It was smart to obviously put out what the story was with the creatine, which, again, 5 grams. That's all you need, guys. We don't need more than 5 grams of creatine. You don't need a loading phase. I'm not a licensed nutritionist, but I'm just telling you, 5 grams. That's all you need. It's all you need. But, like, that for so long, we were questioning, like, what is wrong with Darryn Peterson? It was, does he want to play basketball? Is he taking himself out of games because, I don't know, we're trying to figure out whether he actually just wants to save himself for the NBA or whatever. He's got some chastity belt on for basketball. I mean, what the hell is this thing? But now we at least get more of an idea. I mean, as long as he checks out medically, I don't see any way he doesn't go to the Jazz at number 2. And I'll tell you this, I mean, Danny Ainge, who obviously when he was there in the front office with the Celtics, I mean, this guy knows how to rebuild a team. It's just a long, slow burn. But here's really how you have to do this. If you're not a free agent destination in the NBA or a team that has a ton of money that you're able to spend and you can get into that second apron and all that stuff and be okay with it. Yeah, like, you get to a point now where, you honestly have to do it the way that the Jazz have done it, the way that the Thunder have done it, the way that the Wizards are doing it. And it's a slow burn. It's brisket. You got to do low and slow for a long time, and the result is worth it. But you really got to go through the patience for a while. And it's not easy to do a real rebuild, but we're seeing the results now and the rewards for a lot of teams that have really been put in that spot where, the Bulls do jump. And it's not like the Bulls haven't been a mess forever anyway. They're going to have a new front office and a new coach and all of those things. But the Jazz have been in that position for a while, and we know the Jazz tank. They got fined for tanking, for sitting guys that weren't actually injured. And we'll see what the NBA Martino does with this, and they're going to change the rules more. You can't totally avoid this because, I mean, in the end, guess what people are now going to say? Well, the Spurs got Wemby because they tanked. The Wizards got AJ Dybantsa because they played their young players. I mean, it's a version of tanking there, but, like, the results are still going to be there for teams saying that's our best option.
It is, right? Because even maybe we'll see something maybe change up in San Antonio, but even when San Antonio was a dynasty, they had arguably the second best player of a generation at that point with Kobe and Tim Duncan. The Spurs were never that type of destination. It's hard to turn Utah into that destination. Even with Milwaukee having Giannis for all those years, anyone was even remotely interested. Hell, Nick, even LeBron goddamn James was in Cleveland the first go around, and everyone said, no, thank you, LeBron. We're not interested. You're clearly the best player in the league.
That is true.
Dwayne Wade was like, I'm not moving to Cleveland. Chris Bosh, I'm not moving to Cleveland. And that was a team who was not far off from the NBA Finals. So that says a lot about this situation. I think you're absolutely spot on with the Wizards, by the way, too. Now they can start getting a little bit creative. I'm curious to see what happens with Trae Young and Anthony Davis. I think Trae feels like, he's going to stay in Washington next year. I don't see how Anthony Davis stays on. I'd be very surprised, or unless they want to hold on, maybe get a better return come deadline. That's always a possibility, but I would always trade Anthony Davis immediately just because of injury history. You're not going to risk whatever else happens in the next few months and not get a potential return with that. I think Chicago might just end up with Boozer, even though I do think they should take Caleb Wilson at that point. Chicago is that team. They have to take best player available. Same goes for Memphis. The Clippers are obviously.
I don't think Boozer's going to be there. I think Boozer goes 3 to Memphis. I really do, and I think it's probably a Caleb Wilson situation. They could use a big in Chicago anyway, so I think Caleb Wilson goes 4. I did get a text from PJ Glasser, big part of GameDay Garage, a noted jaded Wizards fan too, that just said, "Nick, we did it." Like, Wizards fans are in disbelief getting the number 1 overall pick, but, like, here's what I'll say too, like, if you are a Jazz fan, if you're a Grizzlies fan, a Bulls fan, and now a Clippers fan too, the Clippers lucked out here getting a top 5 pick when that original pick was lost to the Thunder and people were worried the Thunder were going to move up there. And at first it looked like the Clippers were the bottom was completely falling out this year. And yeah, they made some trades and yeah, they didn't like totally tank, but they were clearly moving towards the future. I think you may see Kawhi Leonard get traded too. I think if you're the Clippers now, you start fresh. You got a top 5 pick in this, and maybe it's Kingston Flemings and maybe it's Keaton Wagler or Darius Acuff. I don't know. They've got an opportunity to take whatever talent is maybe available there. Though you do, I mean, that backcourt, you don't want to have 2 small guards necessarily with Darius Garland there now. So I don't know if I'm the Clippers, I maybe go an Acuff route. I think maybe like a Kingston Flemings though, but at 6'4", like there. So it's like, if you're the Clippers, do you take best available? The Clippers might move a bunch of guys. They may flip a bunch of players this offseason. I think we're now going to have a very, very active trade market this NBA offseason just because of where some of these teams have fallen to, where if you're Milwaukee, I mean, what if, like, here's the crazy scenario for you. What if the Clippers want to trade for Giannis? What if they want to have a star there still in, and then you give up that number 5 overall pick? You get Giannis. The Bucks have 5 and 10, similar to what the Giants did in the NFL draft.
That is true, but the only difference is that Giannis doesn't want to move out of the East. So that's kind of the main monkey wrench in all this. So, like, if he wants to stay in the East, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's just one team, and Brad Stevens is not shy to potentially deal Jaylen Brown. He almost did it for Kevin Durant in 2022. This was known after they lost the finals. The Celtics were an embarrassing first-round exit this year. Brad Stevens, as we even saw with the Marcus Smart era as well, where they made the trade with your Wizards, he will go for it. And honestly, at this point, if you're the Knicks as well, the Knicks could have a package with the current players that they have. But if you're the Bucks, why wouldn't you take Jaylen Brown? Because also, again, you can flip Jaylen Brown young enough to do so. And probably the best player that you're going to fetch in a Giannis trade in the East. There isn't another player. Was it going to be Miami Heat or not going to – Bam Adebayo is not going to suffice. Like, you can't do Bam and Tyler Hero for Giannis. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think there's any other team. I actually have come around to the idea that Giannis will likely be a Boston Celtic. That's just my gut feeling. Now the question is, what happens with a Derek White or somebody like that? Do they also trade their pick in the future or near future like that? There's a lot to happen. I agree with you. Tons of trades. Because again, Nick, we see AJ Mitchell go off yesterday. The guy has a three-year, $9 million contract.
Yeah.
If OKC goes back-to-back, then what, right? Because what happened when we knew there was dynasties like the Warriors and all this kind of stuff where teams were just like, do we go all in and make trades for a window right now? Or do we kind of try and wait out for that little run to end? Because there is that potential in the near future that OKC doesn't want to go to those aprons. They end up trading a Chet or maybe J-Dub. Like, it's a possibility. It's not far-fetched.
Let me throw another team out to you for Giannis. And I've actually heard this thrown around. I talked to a couple NBA people that have, like, it's one of those, like, yeah, it actually could maybe be a thing. And again, right now it's a lot of like fit and it's a lot of moving parts as things go forward. The Orlando Magic are a team to keep an eye on for Giannis as well. You know, that's a team that it may be at the point now where Paolo Banchero, they feel like they've maximized him enough. He's too much of an up and down player. If you're Milwaukee, that's still a good young player that you could get in a return that still has high upside and maybe a new environment. I mean, Orlando just hasn't been able to score consistently. They trade for Desmond Bane, and you get ups and downs from him in the playoffs where there's moments where he found his shot. Then there's times where it's gone again, and that team just couldn't shoot late in their series against Detroit. So, I mean, that's another team to maybe consider. The big thing, though, is that Giannis has to want to sign an extension with the team he's going to get traded to. This goes back years ago. If you remember, the Celtics, when they had all their assets, they desperately wanted Anthony Davis, and he didn't want to sign an extension there. So they said, well, screw it. We're not going to do this shit. We're not going to actually go and take him. So they don't make the trade, and then obviously it goes to the Lakers. So if you're a team that's going to give up assets for Giannis, you obviously want to know that he wants to be there a longer term. And I mean, he's 31. He's got plenty left in the tank, but you have to start thinking about all those things down the road too.
Yeah, and again, that's the exact point why I think it's the Boston Celtics, because that is the team that can get him in the best position. Because what prevented them from even beating the Sixers or having a chance against the New York Knicks was how awful their front court was, how awful their interior scoring was. Giannis comes in, he could play next to Tatum. In this system, he could do that. The guys playing off of each other. If Jason Tatum doesn't have to see double teams, oh my God. That is horrifying for the rest of the NBA. It's really just a question if Giannis is going to be healthy come postseason, because he's still one of those guys as well that's in that category with forgive me, he's in that Joel Embiid category. Yes, Giannis reached the summit of the NBA, but since then, Nick, he hasn't really been healthy in playoff series. That's a huge question over the course of time. We've seen more calf issues this year too. I think teams are a little hesitant on it. Certain teams. Again, I agree with you. I mean, Orlando makes a ton of sense, right? Just to go back to the Orlando thing. I think Paolo might be very much closer to his ceiling than some people might realize. I'm not sure there's more to his offensive game. It might just have to be someone has to whisper in his ear, like, stop settling for these awful mid-range type of shots. You need to expand into the three-point area. Franz is a really good number 2, number 3 type. And they have a bunch of other good, really strong role players. But I think to your point, right? Like, say Jalen Suggs, say Wendell Carter and Paolo in a package. Send it over. Get Giannis, maybe another one of the role players from Milwaukee to make the money work. I could see a 3-team trade, man, right? I mean, it was rumored that Jaylen Brown right now, if you like these predictive markets and all this kind of stuff, that the Atlanta Hawks are the favorite to land Jaylen Brown. Does Jalen Johnson go another way to Milwaukee? Like, what? I'm just very curious about it. I think you're right with this. Because OKC, they have everything, brother. They have it. Like, what? Even right, they didn't get these picks conveyed. They could still package these star-studded players to someone that's great. Yeah. Why wouldn't someone want a J-Dub or a Chet Holmgren? Right? Chet, like, I love the guy, great player. He's very fragile. He's a very fragile guy.
Let me throw a team out to you here. As we've kind of gone past the draft, but I think that there's also a level of draft involved with this. If you want to talk about a team, and I know this seems crazy. By the way, the Knicks up 17-6 right now on the Sixers. And for those of you just jumping in the chat now that are asking whether or not the lottery started, it is done. That is the official order that's up there. We just grabbed tankathons because it's the easiest, simple to throw up on the screen for you. As it happened in real time, the Wizards have the number 1 pick, Jazz are 2, Grizzlies 3, Bulls 4. That's your top 4, with number 5 being the Clippers, who actually got that from the Pacers in that trade that they made at the deadline. There was a slim window for the actual Pacers to lose that pick. 5 and 6 was the spot. It was right at 5. So the Pacers lose that, which good. Screw them. You made the finals last year. You don't deserve a top 5 pick. Anyway, that's not the reality here. I'm going to throw a team out to you because you mentioned the Thunder, and I'm going to throw out a name. What if they go after Nikola Jokic this offseason? What if Nikola Jokic stays unhappy in Denver because they've struggled in the playoffs since they won that title too? What if the Thunder say, we'll give you both of our first-round picks this year. We'll give you Chet, and we'll give you a future first. They've got 1 million of them for Nikola Jokic. What if the rich just get richer that way? Because if you're the Thunder, you can add some younger pieces. Yeah, and I get it. Again, you'd have to move a big contract. Chet might be one of them. But again, it all depends on how it goes in the playoffs. Do you want to break up the chemistry? Do you want to break up the culture that you've built there? But the Thunder are so loaded that they could trade multiple first-round picks. And as long as they want to pay the money that it's going to take to add more stars, they actually could do something along those lines within the limits of whatever the CBA is going to be. Like, it just is. It's crazy, but imagine Nikola Jokic on the Thunder if they say, we've won 2 titles with this. We want to extend this a little bit more, and we'll go Jokic just so we can sell high on Chet. I mean, who knows what the hell that team's going to do at this point?
They could protect him. They could protect Jokic defensively. Excuse me. Like that. What his biggest deficiency is that they're on the hook with the Christian Brown contract that's about to kick in.
Yes,
Jamal Murray.
Yep.
As much as I like him, one of the best players to never be an all-star, right? Like that's the thing about him. He had to play at an all-time level for them to win the finals. And he's not at that level anymore. And I think everyone knew in a way it was a little fluky. It was still a much better all-around roster at that point with the Nuggets. I hear you. I'm not sure Denver might do that. I just think that personally, I think if they're going to actually trade for a star, and I think that this is just a very romanticizing type of idea. It's Kevin Durant going back to the Oklahoma City Thunder and riding out another championship or 2 in the twilight of his career.
The problem is
Houston's cooked. They're cooked. They shouldn't waste their time running this back another year. It's stupid.
But what happens when he has more burners and he's making fun of SGA with a burner because he's not getting shots enough in the fourth quarter? He's already with a young team, and that doesn't work.
I think you're right, but that also only happens in bad environments. I think in Brooklyn, they win that title. If Brooklyn's healthy, they win the title. I think that's the biggest myth and bullshit that people want to toss out there, where it's James Harden was on one leg, Kyrie was hurt, and it only took like 2 inches for them to go to extra time and end up losing to Giannis and the Bucks. Whoever won that series was likely winning the title that year. There was no one else really a prominent threat in the West. I didn't buy the Lakers at that point in time. I know they were injured as well. And then the Suns were a great story. They were a really good team, great starting five. But, I mean, they never had that juice of that elite player. I think Booker played great in the finals. Hell, I just said his name. Who's to say the Suns don't try and get rid of Devin Booker right now? Is there a better time to trade Devin Booker than the current moment? I think teams in the West should be doing this. The Suns I think the Suns are ran stupidly. Malawak and Mark Williams together on the same roster is dumb. I don't get that. Devin Booker's entering his mid to late 20s or his late 20s now. He's a great shooter. He fits the modern mold of the NBA. If you're Denver or if you're OKC or hell, even Boston, someone else, how do you not try and go in to go get Devin Booker this year? I think teams should go for that. I don't think that it'll probably happen, but that's gotta be an option on the table. You can't just sit idly by now. The OKC, like, it's one thing when they're set up for like a small window, right, Nick? Nick, they're set up forever. Like, they're fine. This lottery we were worrying about.
They're never gonna lose again.
I think Sam Presti, who I gave a lot of shit to for, in my opinion, trading the wrong Hall of Fame guard at the time, because Russell Westbrook would have fetched the bigger return, and stylistically, it made more sense to keep Harden and Durant together with Ibaka and the other core players. I think that's the biggest and only stain on Sam Presti's career. And it was like, oh, he just traded the wrong Hall of Fame guard that he drafted, that nobody thought was going to be a Hall of Fame guard at the time. Their development is sensational. They can afford, where their 10th player is dropping 20-plus points in playoff series, that they could be like, yeah, J-Dub and Holmgren, if they left, we would be fine. They're about to sweep the Lakers, Nick, without their second-best player, or arguably second-best player. They might maybe lose 1 to 2 games the rest of the year. We'll see. I think San Antonio is going to be really tough for them. Obviously, they had that great record in the regular season.
Yeah.
But that's an experience thing down the stretch. I've seen the shaking of the foundations a little bit when it comes to that with San Antonio, right? I'm just saying a lot of teams should debate their future. And hell, again, I know because I think about this all the time. I don't get a chance to talk a lot of basketball. So wrap it up with this part here. San Antonio also has a ton of talent that they could trade to if they want to. They have a ton. I think you keep Harper, Castle, and Wemby, obviously. The rest are pretty talented players that you could flip and get something for. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
100%.
They could move on from Fox. Like, it's all there. It's all possible. So I think this was great. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Wizards fans. Go and inflate that basketball as soon as you possibly can. I'm having a miserable evening right here. Is this going to be a third fucking goal?
I love that it's between soccer and the NBA for you at the exact same time. All right, we got about a minute left here. The only thing I'll say is this. I think it's Dybantsa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson is your top 4, with that being the Wizards, Jazz, Grizzlies, and Bulls. For those of you just jumping on here, I see it in the chat as well. That is the official order that the NBA draft will be. It is official now. Maybe a Kingston Flemings or a Keaton Wagler going 5 to the Clippers. Clippers get that pick from the Pacers. The Pacers had to basically fall at 5 or 6 to lose that first-round pick in the trade with the Clippers, so that's going to be set there. Then after that, you're going Nets, Kings, Hawks, and Mavericks, who actually fell, of course. And then the rest of the order is what it was before with the Bucks and the Warriors, and even the Thunder there. I think we're going to see a wild offseason. I think we're going to see stars on the move, and I do think there's now going to be more opportunity for some teams that might say, hey, this team fell in the draft. Maybe there's an opportunity. There's a lot of moving parts, and I know we got a long way to go. Martino, This was great. This was a lot of fun doing this with you. Martino's going to be doing a ton of coverage for us on Game Day Garage for the World Cup as well, which is closing in faster than we all can imagine. Like, it's going to be one thing after the other. Game Day Garage keeps growing. We keep adding more people. We're really grateful to everybody that watches. I mean, I've seen what's going on X2. There's thousands of people watching this. We're grateful for that. We will do plenty more of these as time goes on. The NBA draft as well. A ton of it. Martino, great stuff, buddy. And we will now wait for the actual NBA draft and what that looks like. So this was a good luck ball here. John Wall was good luck for the Wizards. I'm now, I guess, going to go and try to inflate this and see what I can do with this other championship ball that was just giving me autographed. I got to do something with it. Appreciate you coming on, Martino. This was a great hour for us.
Great time. Great hour. Congratulations once again. Thank you, everyone else, for tuning on in.